me 1 minute. I'm just trying to try and see if I can. I'll leave it like this. I'll do it next time. I was trying to see if I can change my camera, but yeah, we'll sort that out next time. But yes, people, big up yourselves each and every time, guys. First and foremost, apologies for yesterday. Was meant to be doing a live watch along, but obviously things happened. I had something to sort out, but. Yeah, listen, I will definitely be doing a live watch along again, and I think, to be honest with you guys, I think the next watch along that we do, I think you guys will enjoy it. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that one. As I said, I had a couple of things to do yesterday, and literally took me the whole day, and time overran. So, but yeah, as I said, we'll definitely be doing more watch alongs. I was meant to be doing the Arsenal and Newcastle game yesterday. But yeah, 100% we'll be doing it again. And as I said, keep an eye out, guys, because I'm trying to update something. So yeah, listen, apologies for yesterday. But listen, big up to Lumi Rain, big up to Chris and Mark as well, each and every time. Big up to Iftikhar Habib as well for coming through. Iftikhar, listen, we're going to be live at 3 o'clock today. So I'm going to give you guys 2 streams today. So we're live at 3 o'clock, and we are going to discuss Ruben Amorim. So today is going to be purely, this stream is going to be purely about Arsenal, and then 3 o'clock, we're going to touch on Man United. So yeah, if you guys want to come back through at 3 o'clock, we'll be discussing that. But big up for coming through. Guys, as always, make sure you smash the like button, and make sure you sub to the channel as well if you're new in here. Winning against Chelsea, then losing against Brentford. Well, who would have thought? Who would have thought, man? But as I said, we'll definitely get into that a bit later at 3. So make sure you are there. Lumi says, Gav, you're usually spot on with opinions and predictions. However, I want your hands up for saying Chelsea will finish above Arsenal. Listen, big up Lumi each and every time. I have to say, yeah, that I have to say. And I'll hold my hands up. I think it's still too early, in the league. There's still plenty of games to go. But I think we have to say, as it stands right now, the prediction of Chelsea finishing higher than Arsenal, it looks more in favour of Arsenal. But as I said, there is plenty of games left to play. We are going to get into the Newcastle and Arsenal game yesterday. And again, Chelsea starting against Brighton. And it's crazy, man. Brighton 2-1, beating Chelsea. Quite a few players from Brighton have gone Chelsea. Quite a few staff as well. And yeah, Brighton doing a number on Chelsea, man, and deserve the win as well. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that. Told you all along the CWC fatigue would cause injuries and be too much for Chelsea. Yeah, listen, you was right. You was definitely right. Again, there's no excuses for Chelsea. Chelsea have got a big squad. So, for me, it's one of them things where Maresca, his last, 3 league games, 2 losses and a draw. He's going to be under pressure now. And I think they've got Champions League, I believe. Is it this week? They got Champions League. I'm not sure who they're playing. Again, if anyone knows who they're playing, then, yeah, they're going to need to pick up a win, man, because he's definitely under pressure. And again, that Man United game has come back to haunt him as well, because that game was poor management from his side. So yeah, it is what it is, man. Unapologetically, I will be unbearable today. Lumi, the floor's yours. Listen, your team done what I didn't think they'll do. So listen, the floor is yours, and we're definitely gonna get into it. Big up Chrism. Sackman's in with the headlines. Yeah, listen. Big up to Barbara Joseph each and every time as well. Guys, smash them likes up and let's sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. Chelsea fans are turning on Maresca. His subs have been too negative. Listen, he's a negative manager, man. That was shown against Man United, because again, we've spoken about it already. But if it was a case where he went, when Sanchez got sent off, the obvious thing would have been to keep the width on the pitch in Neto and Esteval. And the fact that Palmer come off injured, you know, and he made those subs, poor management for me, you know. Chrism says, I think the players are bored with their manager. Listen, it's nothing that we're not surprised with, you know. I mean, again, any of you guys that have been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know, you can see by my expressions now, I'm just not even too bothered with Man United at the moment, because we've been telling you that this manager's shit for time. You know, a lot of fans were getting excited against the Arsenal game, even though we lost. The Chelsea result, there was fans saying, you know, we got the 3 points was the main important thing, but the performance was concerning. Not to mention Chelsea fucked it up as well. And then look at this, Brentford getting beat away from home comfortably and should have been more. So again, I don't know why we're even surprised. At this point now, yeah, if you're backing this manager, you're part of the problem. I keep saying it, you know. But as I said, we're gonna get into it at 3 o'clock. So I don't really want to hog the this stream with Man United talk. So we're gonna get into that at 3 o'clock. And again, if you're free to come through at 3 and you're a Man United fan and you want to have your say, then come through at 3 and we'll discuss that. Zach Clough says, wow, bro, you look like David Beckham. David Beckham's white, man. I'm not sure if you knew that, but big up, man. Anyway, big up to Broderick each and every time, my guy. Big up, big up. Broderick, you're always here, bro. So I'm gonna mod you right now, yeah. Big up yourself, man. Big up. Did you see my comment on yesterday's stream that we will just about edge the game? I should start betting on my club. Hey, listen. The way that you're going on, Lumi, yeah, with all your predictions, man, I'm not sure why you're not betting, because as I said, man, like some of the things that you've come out with that I've said, nah, I'm not seeing that. You've got it spot on. So listen, you're the oracle for today. So yeah, listen, if you want to do some betting, man, I don't advertise betting, but listen, I think you've got a good predictions for what's going on. So yeah, big up to Andrew Sabini. Yeah, big up my guy for coming on. Big up. But guys, listen, we're gonna get into it anyway. You know, as the title says, is this Arsenal's year? Now, again, few Arsenal fans in there. I want to hear from you guys, definitely. Is this Arsenal's year? You know, Champions League, Premier League, second in the table at the moment. You know, won their opening Champions League game as well against Athletic Bilbao. And I believe Arsenal now are, 2 points off of Liverpool, you know, in second place. I mean, look at Crystal Palace, man. Look what they're doing. You know, I think they're third at the moment. But could this be Arsenal's year? Now, I did say, yeah, Arsenal against Man City, that was poor. That was very poor for Arsenal to be at home, start negatively with that lineup, and then at the end save it, you know, with Martinelli more or less last minute goal to pick up a point. You know, a lot of fans will be saying that was a good point picked up by Arsenal. I think if you're looking at the balance of the game, you'd have to say, because City were leading for so long, Arsenal getting a point, actually, it could be looked at as positive. But for me, I definitely think that was 2 points dropped, because if they would have started off positively, you know, who knows, they would have probably gone on to actually nick the game. Who knows, yeah? But I did say this would be Arsenal's test, because going away to St James's Park, Newcastle, as we know, Newcastle are not going to get beat by many teams at St James's Park in the Premier League or Champions League this season, because at home, you know, they are solid. You know, they've got a solid defence. And I think the way Eddie Howe's got his team set up at home with that crowd behind them, they are difficult to beat. Even though yesterday, I do think Eddie Howe probably played into Arsenal's hands in a sense. But listen, Arsenal got the win, 2-1. You know, Gabriel stepping up again. And you know what? Gabriel, man, I have to say, he's like he has shocked me, because when he first come to the club from Lille, I said at the start, I'm not so sure about Gabriel. What I liked about him is that he was a left-footed central defender. And I said that, he probably needs a bit of time to adapt, Brazilian. I mean, could he be starting for Brazil in the World Cup? I think he has to, along with, he'll probably play alongside Marquinhos, at the back. But what I'd have to say about Gabriel, the way that I look at Gabriel right now in terms of the Premier League, you look at the leading centre-backs in this league, Virgil van Dijk comes to mind. Then you look at, I'm putting Matthias de Ligt up there as well, 100%. And then for me, you got likes of Saliba again. But for me, I'll go as far and say Gabriel is Liverpool's answer to Van Dijk. I think he's that much improved in terms of defensively. You can see he's a leader. He's a threat in both boxes. And I think you have to say that Arsenal have got a defender there, that can be considered as the best defender in the league with Van Dijk in terms of the stature, in terms of what he's given to his team. And as I said, man, I think when they went 1-0 down, obviously it was ironic actually because Walter Marder scored the goal that, that was involved with Gabriel. And the thing is, Gabriel went down too easy and Walter Marder obviously got the header in. To think that he scored the winner, after really giving that goal away, I know people might say it was Mosquera was the one that gave away the corner. But again, if you're a 6-foot central defender and you're getting beat like that by Walter Marder, easily, I think you have to kind of look at the defender and say, yeah, listen, you got to be stronger there. But I think the fact that they come back and, who scored the first goal? Mikel Merino, another header from Merino. And I think I'd have to say maybe Arteta learned from, in actual fact, he did. He learned from the Man City game because I thought that midfield three, I thought he would have gone like for like. But he put Eze in the 10, which, again, Eze had to start in that 10. And then he played him with Rice and Zubimendi. And then, as we know, Arsenal have got a lot of players, in their squad now that are a lot of attackers. You think of Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, Eze, Odegaard, Gyökeres. Havertz is out injured at the moment. They got Wanyeri, young Dalman as well, and even Merino. So again, the fact that he actually put on a lot of his attackers and tried to force Newcastle back, and I think Eddie Howe might have played into Arsenal's hands. Again, Walter Marder, I'm not sure if Walter Marder was injured or if he was fatigued. I'm not too sure. But I think the fact that he took off Walter Marder was the wrong decision because he put on Asula, and we know Asula is just going to just run and track players down, yeah? But I think what he should have done is just gone long to try and take the pressure off and let Walter Marder use his physicality and his height to kind of compete with Gabriel and Saliba at the back there and try and win some free kicks to take the pressure off. I think the fact that he took off Asula and used Asula as someone to try and, run them down, and he brought on Elanga as well for his pace on the counter. The fact that Arsenal put on more attackers, I think he should have given, because again, when you're an opposition team, yeah, and you put on more attackers, you're showing your intent to go and score a goal. I think the fact, and again, I think Livramento getting injured was a massive miss as well. But I think the fact that he tried to go a bit more defensive and play on the counter is what played into Arsenal's hands. When they're bringing on Odegaard, they're bringing on Martinelli. Eze was still on the pitch. Gyökeres was still on there as well. Again, he showed the intent that he wanted to win that game. And I think if Arsenal would have got out there with a draw, I would have said, this is why Arsenal, for me, are not winning any league title. And again, I'm not going to change my mind, guys. Arsenal don't win this league title for me. But, I'm fair when it comes to criticism, and I'm fair when it comes to being objective on other teams. Now, for me, I have to say, I have to say Arsenal have given themselves every opportunity to go and compete for this title. You know, even though I don't think Arteta is good enough, and even though I don't think it's going to happen, but I think you have to be honest with yourself and say, listen, they've gone away to Newcastle, who is probably one of the more tougher grounds to go to in this league, and they've not only come back from a goal down, they've actually nicked it at the end 2-1. You know, and you have to give credit to that. So, as I said, could this be Arsenal's year? I think going away to grounds like that gives them a good opportunity, but they will be tougher tests. You know, they've still got to play City away. They've still got to play Liverpool at home, Newcastle at home, Chelsea away. You know, they've still got tough grounds to go to. Obviously, Tottenham as well. There's still tough places to go to. But I think them beating Newcastle will give them confidence, because I can guarantee this now. There won't be many teams going to Newcastle and beating them in their own backyard. So credit goes to Arteta and to Arsenal for coming back. And as I said, Gabriel, Marino, 2 headers. I think what is concerning. The fact that Arsenal are scoring headers to win games is actually crazy, you know, because obviously, as we know throughout the years, they are a set piece team. You know, I think, but people might look at it and say they've got other weapons now to use. And again, Mikel Marino coming on, you know, getting that glancing header. Again, Nick Pope did make some very good saves. The one where he where there was a penalty shout for their supposed foul on Gyökeres was actually good refereeing, because you can actually see Pope gets a slight touch to the ball, and obviously Gyökeres' momentum makes him collide into Pope's knee. So for me, that was a fair decision. You know, the goal from Walter Marder wasn't a foul. Gabriel, as we said earlier, went down too easy. But again, Arsenal come back, man, and get the win. You know, I think to get a draw at St James's Park is probably a good result. But the fact that they got 3 points is going to fill them with confidence, man. So, yeah, listen, we have to give credit where credit's due. And as I said, man, Arsenal's second in the league, 2 points behind Liverpool, who got beat by Palace. And then you think of the Champions League at the moment, beating Athletic Bilbao. What was it, 2-0 in the end? So, yeah, listen, man, they have to be happy with their start to the season, no doubt. But as I said, there's plenty of time to go, and we're going to see what Arsenal really on. Lumi says, Gav, remember we've played United, Liverpool, City and Newcastle in our 6 games, being just 2 points behind is brilliant. Yeah, listen, I think you have to look at that and think, you know, to play all those teams and be 2 points behind Liverpool in the league is good news. I think you beat United, but again, let's say United are poor right now anyway. Newcastle, you know, beating them yesterday. The Liverpool and City game, I think they're the 2 closest challengers to the title for me, for Arsenal. And I think that's where we have to look at and say, you know, that's probably where they're going to be judged on, you know, because they're the 2 teams for me that would be the closest challengers for Arsenal for this title. And, you know, you've got 1 point against both them teams. And realistically, on another day, it'll be 0 points, because City should have really held on. So that's where it's going to be. That's where it's going to be interesting for Arsenal. And again, the game's coming up now. You know, can they continue their form? You know, it's all right doing it against those teams, but as we know, the Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. So we have to try and see what they do in these games. But to be 2 points behind so far is good business. I think Arsenal's next game actually might be West Ham at home, I believe. I could be wrong. Again, let me know who Arsenal's next game in the league is, but I think it might be West Ham. But yeah, listen, they're in good position at the moment. That was definitely a pen when Pope tripped Gyökeres. Not for me. I think the momentum of Gyökeres took his knee into Pope, and there's not much that Pope could have done. But the fact that you can see he actually got a slight touch to the ball, it was actually good refereeing that he went to VAR, and actually check that, because you know when it's in slow motion, you can actually see that he actually got like a little nick to the ball. But yeah, as I said, I think that was a fair decision for me, and yeah, good decision from the referee. Finally, you know. Esbar says we are the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners. Yeah, listen, man, like Marino. Listen, Marino, yeah, he does pop up with some important goals. I can't remember how many goals he scored for Arsenal, but the guy does chip in with some important goals for Arsenal, and again another one. And again, Pope couldn't save that. You know, Pope had some good saves in that match, but to be fair, the header was more of a flick on. But the way he went right into the corner, there's not much that that Pope could have done there. And then the goal from Gabriel. Again, Gabriel's physically very dominant. I think it was poor. It was poor by Newcastle, really. You know, you highlight. I think it was Gabriel up against Dan Burn actually, and I think he actually lost Dan Burns. So, you know, you have to highlight who your strongest threat is, your opposition threat, and deal with them accordingly. And I think the fact that you know, Gabriel got his head to the ball was concerning for me from Newcastle. But again, it's one of them things. So Marino's a top scorer for Arsenal this season in the calendar year. Well, how many has he got then? He must have double figures. So S-Bar says he got a touch, but then took Gyökeres out of the play when he still had a chance to score. Yeah, listen, I hear that, but as you just said, he got a touch. So if he's got a touch to the ball, it's no penalty. So that's what it is. If he got a touch first, and then because all you have to look at is the momentum of Gyökeres. You know, Gyökeres actually collided with him when you actually check it. So the fact that he got a touch to the ball means it's no penalty. So Gyökeres will still get 20 plus Premier League goals. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if Gyökeres get 20 plus Premier League goals. I think Gyökeres in the big games, as we know, you know, he's always found wanting. Like he's been poor. Let's be honest. You played against Liverpool, United, City, and Newcastle, and he's been poor in all 4 games. So I think it's more of a case that he's a flat track bully. Let's be honest. But to say he's going to get 20 plus Premier League goals, I doubt it. I think a lot of people are looking at him because he scored mad numbers in Portugal. But listen, this is the Premier League, man. It's a different kettle of fish, and you've got better defenders in this league, you know, and the physicality here is different. So I don't believe he gets 20 plus Premier League goals, but I think definitely he needs to improve. Backup players like Marino, Martinelli, and Trossard are proving very important. I mean, off the bench is probably where Martinelli is most effective. You know, he does seem like he's someone that, you know, he's got the energy and the pace, you know, when legs are tired, to be more effective as, you know, an impact sub. And I just wonder if Arteta uses him like that more often now, because I think he's probably better like that. Trossard, to me, I think Trossard's a better starter than Martinelli in terms of being able to create chances and keep the ball. As we know with Marino, he's a goal threat from midfield. And Esbar says he's got 7. He's got 7 goals. It's not a lot, really, let's be honest. But I think a lot of them are key contributions that he's done. So, yeah, listen, man, I think he's definitely improved Arsenal in the sense of scoring goals from midfield. So if you look at Arsenal from midfield, they don't really score a lot of goals from midfield, from central midfield. But if you look at Marino, I'll look at all the players that they've got there. I know obviously Eze's in the 10, and Eze will score goals, but I think Marino's their biggest goal threat from central midfield, because Declan Rice don't really score goals like that. Neither does Zubamendi. Odegaard, as we know, doesn't really get many goals. So I think you've got a weapon in Marino, you know, that when the game is at a stalemate, you know, he can come on and get a goal from a header. So, yeah, listen, man, 7 goals ain't a lot, but it's still something. I want to see more from Saka. I hope he can get back to that elite level. I don't think he's elite, to be honest with you. I never think Saka has been at an elite level. I just think Bukayo Saka is a good player, but this whole elite level talk, I don't know where it's coming from, really, you know. And I think with Saka as well, you know, he's he has been on the end of some rough challenges, you know. The one in midweek against Port Vale, you know. But yeah, listen, Saka is, you know, he's a threat for Arsenal, but again, he's not been anywhere the level that a lot of fans think he's at. For me, definitely not. But yeah, who knows, man. Put it this way, Madueke was actually playing better than him before Saka come back into the team and Madueke got injured. So who knows? What's good though is we aren't reliant on Saka like we used to be. Yeah, I hear it. I hear it, and I think with the squad that Arsenal have, again, when you're thinking of the players that can play in Saka's position, you know, you've got Madueke, you've got Dalman, obviously now as well. Wanyeri can play out there. You know, if they wanted to change and put a right footer out there, Martinelli can go there. So they have got options there, but I think definitely, yeah. We're gonna see, man, what's happening. We're gonna see. How many goals will Voldemort get this season? So Nick Woldemade. I think if he gets 15 goals this season, it's a good season for him. You know, I think people are underestimating getting 20 goals, Premier League goals in this league is not easy. It's not easy. I think if you're looking at Erling Haaland, you'd have to say Mo Salah over the last seasons he's had. If you're looking at what's his name, Isak, you'd probably say those three there have proven that they can get 20 plus goals. But 20 plus goals in this league isn't a foregone conclusion. It's not simple to do. So this is what I'm trying to say with Gyökeres. I mean, what's Gyökeres? How many has he got now? Has he got 4? You know, again, does he get 20 plus league goals? I'm not too sure. I would go as far and say if he does get 20 plus league goals, you'd probably have to say that he's that Arsenal are competing for the title if he does do that. So if he does get that, that means Arsenal are competing. But I just don't know if he gets 20 plus league goals. I can't see it personally. But yeah, I think Nick Woldemade, I think he gets 15. And again, let's not forget, yeah, they're missing Johan Visser as well. I'm not sure if Visser's injured. Is he injured? But Visser's a big miss for them. I think if you can have Visser in there and then you got him and Woldemade, you know, they can interchange, and I think it makes Newcastle's attack look more potent. So the fact that he hasn't played Visser at the moment, Visser must be injured. So who knows, man? Who knows? Esbar says Eze's the new number 10. I think you'll find that Odegaard will find his way back in there. You know, Eze for me, as I kept saying, has to play 10 for Arsenal because he's a 10, and you're not going to be getting the best out of him by playing him on the left. But again, how is he going to justify leaving Odegaard on the bench? Because he's the captain. So he's the captain and he's on more money than Eze. So don't be surprised if you see Eze playing out on the left. It's not a foregone conclusion that Eze stays in that number 10 position. He's not. Because Odegaard has to play in Arteta's eyes for me. You know, so yeah, well, that'll be one to keep an eye on, because you can't fit, if you're going to fit both of them into the team, Eze is more likely to be playing on the left because Odegaard doesn't play anywhere else but central. So yeah. Joe Linton trying to take Saka out, minute 1. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think he was trying to take him out. I just think he was, he just made an attempt for the ball and obviously used his physicality. Like, Saka's not one of them players that opposition are looking to target him because he's that good. It's not that. Joe Linton's a physical player and just tried to just rough him up, but not with the intention to try and take him out, in that sense, you know. I told you Declan Rice deliveries are like penalties. Bend it like Declan. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. In actual fact, you know what it is? Declan Rice does put a decent ball into the box. He does, yeah. But Declan Rice's game is too safe. You know, Declan Rice always just plays the safe pass. And it's all well and good, yeah, when you're, you know, when you're 3-0 up, you know. But when the game's at a stalemate, this is when you need players to step up and break the lines and provide that pass to break the line. which Declan Rice doesn't really do. I mean, yeah, putting the ball in the box, that's all well and good, but he needs to do more for me, definitely. But again, listen, Arsenal got the win, and that's what matters, man. That's what matters. So Gyökeres has got 3 goals so far. Okay, so he needs, what, 17 more goals. You know, it's not impossible, but you got to think of injuries. You got to think of form. You know, and again, as I said, against the best teams, he's not really doing much against the best teams. Let's be honest, in the league. So the only thing we can say is that he's a flat track bully. That's it. Mr. Hugo, listen, your wife weren't complaining, man. She weren't saying the size of my beak. So listen, if you got nothing positive to say, man, see yourself at the channel, man. Like, you're not forced to be here. Like, any negativity, man, you can just move on from it. You know, you're not forced to be here. But listen, let's move on. Havertz is important. If he can fit and keep fit, I think Arteta may prefer him to Gyökeres. Havertz, when he's fit, will come back into the team. I have no doubt about that. Because if you look at Gyökeres, yeah, even though Gyökeres does offer Arsenal something different in terms of running in behind and his physicality, Havertz is more suited to how Arsenal want to play, because Havertz will drop into midfield. You know, he'll make the extra man in that position, and I think he just suits Arsenal's play a lot better. Whereas Gyökeres, you know, they don't really play for Gyökeres in a sense, and he can't really. You can tell he's not really gelling with the team because he's not an Arsenal type striker. But in a sense, that's probably what Arsenal need. They need someone a bit different. But when Havertz does get fit, I'll be interested to see what Arteta does, because Arteta does like Havertz, and don't be surprised if Havertz is out for a little while anyway. But don't be surprised if Havertz comes back and he displaces Gyökeres if Gyökeres is not doing much. You know, big up to SSB28. Wigan Athletic are better to watch than the whiny Gunners. But listen, I mean, what's mad about Arsenal is that Arsenal are not really playing great football. I think they're having spells in games where they are putting some neat passes together. But I think definitely, they're more of a solid team. You can tell. You know, if you look at their whole team, you know, they've got Saliba and Gabriel. That's a solid partnership in terms of physicality. You know, Yuri and Timber, for me, I'd have to say Yuri and Timber right now is the best right back in the league. You know, he's solid. Not many gets past him. And again, attacking wise, you know, he's a threat as well. Calafiori, I think you can get change out of Calafiori, even though he has been decent this season. You know, I think on the ball he's very good. But defensively, you know, I think you can get at him. Midfield, you know, you got Declan Rice, who's got, you know, he runs all day. Eze, you know, again, he's physically strong. Marino's 6'4". Zubamendi is probably the different profile to what they've got. But, and then you look at Gyökeres' physicality, Saka as well is physical. And then you got Martinelli and Trossard that are not that physical. Madueke's got the physicality as well, has got the pace in that as well. So they're more of a solid team, Arsenal. And I think against many teams in this league, physically, you know, they can match it. So that's where I think they'll be looking at. But yeah, listen, there's a long way to go. Long way to go. As long as we are winning, all our players will be happy with rotation and playing in different positions. Well, we're going to see, because when teams are winning, everyone's happy. But then as soon as you lose a game, you know, this is where, you know, you start getting murmurs. And as I said, as long as Arsenal are winning, then it's one of them things where, yeah, not too many players are going to be making fuss, you know what I mean? But as I said, it's a long season, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao League and the Premier League. Players will be getting their game time. But, you know, when you start losing, this is where you're going to start hearing murmurs from elsewhere, you know, if players are not playing. Pipey the Pipe Bomb says, if Rice was black, you would be glazing him. And you know what, yeah? it's absolute clowns like this, yeah, that you know, Pipey, listen, your first time in there, and listen, everyone's free to have an opinion in life, you know. But when you come on there and start chatting shit, if Rice was black, you'll be glazing him. Now, first and foremost, yeah, it's not a color thing for me. It's just objective opinions, yeah. My best player to play the game is not actually black. It's white. It's Messi. Messi's one of my favorite players, along with R9 and Ronaldinho. I like Neymar. I like Eden Hazard, Zidane, Andres Iniesta, Sergio Busquets, Pogba, Martial. The list is Paulo Dybala is one of my favorite players. The list is endless, yeah? So when you're coming on there just talking shit, saying if Rice was black, you would be glazing him, it's nothing to do with that, man. And what it is, what you need to understand, yeah, is that when people have a difference of opinion, which is life, it has nothing to do with color, yeah? I don't rate Declan Rice to the level that a lot of people do. Again, people that are in my chat right now will know me. They know that I don't rate Declan Rice because how I see Declan Rice, yeah, Declan Rice is a good player. He's a good Premier League player. But the way that fans talk about Declan Rice, yeah, is only because he's English and he gets overhyped, just like a lot of English players do. Now, as I said, Declan Rice for me, 1 second, guys. Oh, yeah, so Declan Rice for me, you know, just plays it safe a lot of the times for Arsenal. When he's in that midfield, he just keeps it ticking along. You know, doesn't really do anything, in my opinion, that is eye-catching. Maybe you might like that, but for me, for how I see players, you know, and how much he cost as well, you'd expect a lot more. So, as I said, it doesn't matter about race because my best ever central midfielder, DM, is Sergio Busquets. He's white. So when you're coming on there just talking shit, at least give context to what you're talking about, you know. And it shows for me, with that comment, you know, that you have a hidden agenda when you're coming out with stuff like that. So, again, I'm not going to waste my time talking about Declan Rice, you know. Declan Rice ain't as good as what a lot of people make him out to be. That's just my opinion. Like, I'm going to stick with that opinion. And if you don't agree with it, then you don't agree with it. I couldn't give a shit. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn. Like, it's my opinion. And Moises Caicedo's better than him, for me. He is. Ryan Gravenberch is better than him. They're black. So be it. So be it. You know what I mean? They are better than him. Simple as that. Rice, Odegaard, and Eze is a cheat code. Rice, Odegaard, and Eze is a cheat code. Well, if it's a cheat code, I expect to see Arsenal win Premier League and the Champions League this season then, if it's a cheat code. Because if you're looking at those three, yeah, although all three of them players they're good players in their own right. If we're looking at the best team in the league right now in terms of Premier League standing, Liverpool, is their midfield three, yeah. Would Declan Rice get into a midfield where he plays beyond Gravenberch and McAllister? Not for me. He doesn't. Does Odegaard get into the 10? I mean, Wirtz hasn't been great. Who's playing at the moment? Szoboszlai. Would Odegaard get in there? Not really. I think Eze is probably the only one you could probably say that could get into Liverpool's midfield as a 10 right now. Because Wirtz hasn't been to the level that we know he's capable of. And then Szoboszlai has been good this season, but has been playing at right back, 10, central mid. So, yeah. But to say that those three are a cheat code, yeah, I'm not sure what cheat code you're looking at, because that's not true. And if that's the case, let's hope that Arsenal win Premier League or Champions League based on that. Tom Malloy says Prime Havertz has all the aerial threat Arsenal needs. Well, football's more than just aerial threat. So, and Havertz is out injured, so I'm not sure that's I mean, what does that even mean, really? Like, so Prime Havertz has all the aerial threat Arsenal needs. So we're looking at Arsenal now just being a pure aerial threat team. If that's the case, then is what it is. Guys, bear me 1 minute. Bear me 1 minute. Ah, mate, nice one. Cool. Another delivery, guys. Sorry. Yeah, so my name says, don't care, Lumi Rain. I've never seen such a whinging manager like Arteta. Looks like it's rubbed off onto the players. You won't win the Premiership, innit? Big up to my name. Listen, I have to agree with you, man. Like, let's give Arsenal credit where credit's due. You know, they are second in the league at the moment, unbeaten in the Champions League after one game. You know, they went away to Newcastle, and let's be honest with you, man. They actually, done a number on Newcastle. I think Eddie Howe, as I said, played into their hands a lot with his substitutions. But when it comes to winning the Premiership and Champions League, do I believe Mikel Arteta is going to do that for Arsenal? I don't. The guy's been there now, what, 7 years? And there's been no trophies to show apart from an FA Cup, which wasn't with his team. So in my opinion, I have to agree with you, man. I still don't believe Arsenal win this league. You know, no matter what they've done yesterday, I don't believe they win the league. But it's down to Arsenal and Arteta to actually prove everyone wrong. But what I'd have to say is, if Arteta fails again, as an Arsenal fan, do you keep him in charge? That's what I want to know. And this is what's going to tell me where I see how Arsenal are with their fan base. XYZ says 8-2 next game scoreline. Is that 8-2? I mean, I think is that from the Man United and Arsenal when we beat them at Old Trafford? Big up to XYZ, man. Let us know what you mean. Hello, Gav. Good afternoon from Uganda. Is Amrim still for Man U as a manager? Big up to Manarakiza Ivan. Big up. Listen, we're gonna touch more on that at 3 o'clock. So if you're free at 3 o'clock, Manarakiza, then come through, man. We're gonna talk more Man United at 3 o'clock. Obviously this stream's about Arsenal today, and 3 o'clock we're gonna go on to Man United. So yeah, listen, keep that comment for 3 o'clock. And make sure you come back, man. 100%. Big up. Guys, smash the likes up and sub to the channel. Big up yourselves. Tendo Payne says, Arsenal will never win the Premier League again. It's all over to the team who only is best for second place. They're just like Man U. Well, I mean, to say they'll never win a Premier League again, I mean, I don't really go with that notion, you know. But what I would say is, under this manager, Mikel Arteta, do I believe they win the Premier League title? I don't. I think it's been proven. And I think this season now is is judgment day for Arteta. Because I do believe if he fails again, which I'm expecting him to, not because I hate Arteta, but I just don't rate Arteta as a manager like that, really, you know, when it really matters. As I said, if he fails again, as an Arsenal fan, are you going to put up with another season of Mikel Arteta? Because I think this would probably be Arsenal's best ever chance to win a Premier League title or a Champions League with the squad they have. But again, when it matters against the best teams, let's see what they do. So that's where it's going to be at. Big up to Crawley Eagle. Big up, my guy. Big up for coming on. Where's Sham? I don't know, man. I'm not sure where Sham is. Someone go and find him, man. Maybe he's... Listen, Liverpool getting beat, losing their unbeaten record. You know, maybe he's... maybe he's not in a good place, man, in terms of that. But, now listen, Sham's there all the time, man. Maybe he's got things to do. But, as I said, who would have thought, man, Palace beating Liverpool? You know, I did say, you know, on the streams previous, I said Arsenal, I said Liverpool, you know, the best they can hope for is a draw. Liverpool beat, and for Palace to beat them, and, you know, it should have been by more goals as well. Palace, man, they've got a very good manager in Oliver Glasner, and the way he sets them up isn't a surprise. I said at home against Palace, you know, Palace at home, I said they'll cause Liverpool problems, and they did. And look at that, Palace are in third position, and they haven't got the budget of nowhere near Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and these teams. Just shows you what a good manager can do. I prefer MLS at left back. Yeah, Lewis Skelly. I mean, he's gone from first choice to to a bench player now at the moment. I mean, he's being kept out by Calafiori. And it's up to him now to try and force his way back into the lineup, you know. But again, there's plenty of games. There'll be injuries, etc. And when Lewis Skelly does come in, he's got to take his chance. But it weren't long before it wasn't long ago people were saying that Lewis Skelly's the best left back in the league. You know, how premature is that? But yeah, it is what it is. Mana Rakiza says, need your WhatsApp number, Mr. Gav. Yeah, listen, I can't be giving out my WhatsApp number just like that. But listen, Mana Rakiza, man, if you ever want to jump on the live stream, just let me know, man. And as I said, send me a comment afterwards. You know, but again, I'm gonna be live at 3 o'clock, man. So yeah, get involved in the live chat, man, and we'll discuss Man United. Because as I said, man, I've become so desensitized to this club. It's just boring now. So as I said, man, it's not even a time for ranting and raving about this manager, because everyone knows this manager's out of his depth. Like Ineos just keeping him here at the moment. So yeah, but we will definitely get into that, man, because that game away against Brentford, when I saw the lineup, you know, I got the lineup right, what he was gonna do, apart from 2 players. But the fact that this manager is just so stubborn, and we'll definitely get into it at 3 o'clock, is what's the problem, and it's his undoing. And we always knew this was going to happen, you know. So, as I said, man, we'll get into it at 3. But big up, man, big up. Gav, do you think Palace can finish above United? Listen, I don't think people are giving credit to what Palace are doing. They've got a top manager in, you know, who's won a Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt. You know, they've got the way he sets them up. You know, he sets them up perfectly in that 3-4-2-1 that they play. They're playing the exact formation that United are playing. The only difference is the interpretation on how he sees certain players in that system. Oliver Glasner. You know, you've got Mateta, who scores goals for them. You've got a solid defense in Mark Guehi, the captain. Again, Guehi will probably go to Liverpool, whether that's in January or next season. They've got Maxence Lacroix. And again, Lacroix has added to their defense because he's physical, he's aggressive, you know, and he's got pace as well. And he's an aerial threat. And then you've got Chris Richards as well that complements those two. You know, Adam Wharton in midfield, you know, on the ball, Adam Wharton supreme on the ball. Kamada in there as well. Him and Will Hughes have got the legs. Then you've got the wing-backs in Tyrick Mitchell and Daniel Munoz, who runs all day. And then you've got, even though they've lost Eze's creativity, you know, they've got in Yeremy Pino from Villarreal, who's got legs and can get a goal as well. And then you've got Ismail Assar, who for me is very underrated. So they've got the core of a very, very good team. And as I said, man, can they finish above United this season? If you keep this manager in charge, Ruben Amorim, 100% they finish above Man United. I have no doubt Palace will finish above United if Amorim stays here any longer. You know, as I said, with this manager in charge, yeah, don't be surprised if Man United if he was to stay the full season, which I don't think he does. Don't be surprised if Man United don't finish in the top half. like this is what I'm trying to say to you. This manager's just out of his depth, regardless what anyone wants to say. You know, but as I said, we'll get onto that at 3 o'clock. Gav, imagine a midfield of Rice, Bellingham, and Bruno. Yeah, that'll be hideous to watch. Like a midfield 3 of those 3. Yeah, listen, that's a midfield 3 there that should get you relegated. There's no balance there. Rice, I mean, because the problem is, yeah, people will probably look at that midfield and think that's a good midfield, yeah. If you play that in a 4-2-3-1, yeah, and you played Bruno in the 10 and you played Bellingham and Rice there, do I trust that midfield against the best teams? No, because you've got no one there really that can sit and dictate the tempo of a game. You've got 3 players there that are high energy, but not 3 of them that are good in possession really. There's ill discipline there from Bruno. Bellingham will want to try and get involved as well. Declan Rice, as we know, will be the one that sits most out of all them. But yeah, that midfield three there is horrible. That's a horrible midfield three there. So yeah, horrible midfield three that I would never want to see. Iftikhar says, I nearly did as laugh as it went 1-1. I had a feeling we would win. Yeah, listen. The fact that they actually got over the line is what is impressive, because, as I said, I think if they would have come out there with a draw, you'd be looking at that thinking this is where Arsenal need to go to grounds and win. The fact they got that 2-1 win, you know, as an Arsenal fan, I don't blame you for being optimistic, because, yeah, who would have thought they would have gone to Newcastle, St James's Park, and win? Because I hold my hands up and say I didn't see that coming, and look, they did. Yeah, big up to Pipey, man. Listen, when you're coming out with stuff like if Declan Rice was black, like, that's nonsense. You know, football should never be about this, about your colour, etc. It should just be about your honest footballing opinion and constructing it the way that I construct things. You know, as I said, my favourite players are not black. The majority of them, they're not. So it's nothing to do with race, man. It's about how I see these players. You know, as I said, Barcelona have 3 players there that are 3 of my favourite players ever, in Busquets, Iniesta, and Messi. You know, they're not black. So, but yeah, no, big up, man, for coming up. Big up. For coming through, sorry. Gav, does Arsenal still have a chance at winning the Prem? I think any team's got a chance. Like, any team has a chance. But for me, if I'm giving you my honest opinion, do I think Arsenal win the Premier League under Mikel Arteta? I don't. I don't see it. You know, even though they got a good result yesterday, even though they got a good result yesterday, nah, they're not winning it under Mikel Arteta. They're not. Big up to not Brett May. The Great White Charlie says, how are you taking the re-immigration news? You know what I mean? And it's what I'm trying to say to you. You get guys like this, yeah, that, you know, the reality is, if you see these people face to face, they haven't got the same energy, yeah? He's got an England flag and he's hiding behind a picture, you know what I mean? So these are the kind of people, guys, that make you laugh, because the reality is he probably hasn't got much going on in his own life, and he comes onto a channel where you're getting real footballing opinion. He's hating, you know, he's probably a 14-year-old boy, you know, in his mum's bedroom still, just hating on the fact that a guy like me that just knows my football is just talking and doing his thing. Like, but unfortunately, these are the kind of people you get, guys, and they're all around us, unfortunately. So, and the funny thing is as well, yeah, you see how dumb this guy is as well, yeah. This guy then comes in and says Africans are going back by the end of the transfer window. Yeah. The funny thing is, he actually thinks I'm African. That's the funny thing. Like, it's just crazy how dumb these people are. You know. But again, guys, let this be a lesson. You know, you're gonna get people in life, man, that are like this guy, Great White Charlie. You know, he's trying to name himself after a shark, like pathetic. You know, coming on there with his racism as usual. You know, but doesn't show his face on screen. These are the kind of people that you get, guys, unfortunately. And you know what it is with me, yeah? I put my face on camera all the time, and you got to be thick-skinned, you know? And if you're not thick-skinned for this, then unfortunately, you know, it's one of them things where maybe YouTube and being on camera isn't for you. And I'm thick-skinned, you know? Sometimes I see the comments and I feel, yeah, I'm gonna react to it. Half the time I just ignore it, because it's like, you know, these people are just lowlifes. That's the only way to kind of describe them, you know. And again, setting up a YouTube channel is not easy. You know, anyone that's got a channel will tell you that. It's not easy. A lot of the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, you guys don't see. But when you put your face on camera like I do, as I said, man, I'm ready for the criticism. You know, not everyone's going to agree with my opinion, and you're not meant to. But it's one of them things where when you're getting people like the Great White Charlie coming in there, you know, hasn't got a life, is clear, and just coming in there with his nonsense and his lack of intelligence. These are the kind of people, guys, you've got to watch out for in life. Because the reality is, when you see these people in person, They haven't got the same. They haven't got the same attitude. Unfortunately, it's just trolls on YouTube, on Twitter, etc. Just talking nonsense, and it's what you're getting, guys. But it is what it is. Not Brett May says Arsenal are the favourites with the bookies. Yeah, listen, they can be favourites all they want. It don't mean nothing really. The proof is in the pudding, and the proof is and we're gonna see at the end of the season where Arsenal are, because, as I said, I got a friend that said, if Arsenal finish outside the top two, he's happy to keep Arteta. Now, for me, I don't see how, because Arsenal have been the last 3 seasons finishing second. Again, second just means you're the first loser. That's the way that I see it, because the prize is first place. Yeah. Now the thing is, if Arsenal finish outside the top two, this season is meant to be about progression. So the only progression that Arsenal can do in this season, for me, is Champions League or Premier League title. And if they win one of them, you'd have to say it's taken ages, but fair enough to Mikel Arteta. But if they finish outside the top two and win no trophies, how can you possibly keep this manager? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think the biggest credit you give to Arteta is that he's probably built a foundation for the next manager to come and take this club on. But if he doesn't finish in the top two or win the league or Champions League, as an Arsenal fan, are you happy to keep Arteta? Because I just can't see it. Gav, opinion on Real losing to Atletico 5-2. Are they real still a threat because they've only won against mid-table / relegation threatened clubs so far? Yeah, big up to Iftikhar. Listen, I didn't watch the whole game, but I see the highlights. And what I would say, yeah, and I've said this before, if we're talking about, let's go on to Atletico Madrid first and foremost, yeah? Under Diego Simeone, we know what we're going to get with Atletico. You're going to get a lot of heart and passion from their team. And they have players in their team like Julian Alvarez, like Anton Griezmann, that are the difference makers in these kind of games in terms of their quality. So they've always had that, but the majority of the makeup of their team is hard-working, passion, running through a brick wall for that manager. He's been at that club for a while. If you're looking at the first, Alexander Sorloth, again, if anyone knows Sorloth, ex-Crystal Palace striker, funny enough, many people probably don't even know that. Sorloth was at Crystal Palace, yeah? Obviously, he's a physical threat for them. He runs in behind as well. But the makeup of their team, as I said, is revolved around, it was Griezmann, but Griezmann's obviously getting on a bit now. It's now Julian Alvarez who plays as a 10, as a support striker in a sense. So he got 2, I think he got 2 yesterday. His free kick was class. Again, Alvarez, formerly of Man City, and the fact that Alvarez wanted to move on was for game time, and he's getting that at Atletico Madrid, and he's their difference maker right now. I think Real Madrid, and I said this, guys, at the start, yeah, all we have to look at is, I know Mbappe's getting goals, etc., and he's the difference maker for them at the moment. But I did say, yeah, having Mbappe in the team with Vinicius Jr., etc., something's got to give. And I know Vinicius Jr. got an assist yesterday as well for Arda Güler's goal. But you can clearly see that Vinicius Jr. is in the shadow of Mbappe now. And I did say, are they a better team when it was Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, and Benzema, when Benzema was there? They are a better team. There's no doubt in that. I mean, I know, obviously, there's been change. There's no Modric no more. I don't know if Rudiger's out injured at the moment as well. He's a massive miss for them. But the fact that Xabi Alonso's come in, and again, he's still sticking to the same sort of formation that he's got. Again, look at left back. They've got Alvaro Fernandez who's playing. Ferland Mendy's better than him for me. I don't know if Mendy's injured or he's just out of favour. The midfield, Chouamani's in there. I'm glad Goulet's playing, so I rate Goulet highly. Mastan Tuano's been playing as well. Again, I haven't seen their lineup, lately. But what I will tell you is that, and I said this, when you're playing against the best teams, the Mbappe and Vinicius Junior together is not really gonna work, because you've got two players in their own right that are viewed as superstars. Yeah, and Vinicius Junior was there before. Vinicius Junior was there before Mbappe. It's quite clear now that Mbappe has come in, and it's more Mbappe's team now. It is. Like, and no one can tell me otherwise. Vinicius Junior hasn't been the same since Mbappe's come into the club. And as I keep saying, when they're playing against the likes of Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, City, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, all the top teams in the world, if they play those two together, I don't think they'll win many games. Because, as I said, you've got two players that are going to be behind the ball a lot of the times, yeah, when they're defending, and something has to give. Rodrigo's not really getting game time. As I spoke about Rodrigo previously, he's arguably their best attacker. But again, he hasn't got the name that Mbappe and Vinicius Junior has. So again, it's tough times. And guys, listen, the fact that Xabi Alonso was beaten 5-2 by their Madrid rivals, Real Madrid ain't gonna accept that. So this is where standards come into it, because best believe that Real Madrid will pull the plug on Xabi Alonso, regardless if he's an ex-player, of theirs or not. They will pull the plug if more results like that continue. Because let's face it, they've still got to play Barcelona. They've still got Champions League tough games to play as well. And their hierarchy are not going to accept the fact they're being beaten by their rivals, and at 5-2 as well. So don't be surprised if that happens. If Xabi Alonso gets sacked before the end of the season, because they don't accept that. Lumi Rain says Piers Morgan 100% Arsenal win the league. Yeah, but listen, Lumi, big up yourself. I couldn't give a damn what Piers Morgan says. Piers Morgan knows nothing about football. He doesn't. He's just an Arsenal fan. So I couldn't give a shit what Piers Morgan thinks. Like, he can think that all he wants, but he don't know more about football than me. That's what I will tell you. So yeah, my opinion is under this manager, they don't win the league, and I'll stick by that. You can pin it, you can clip it, whatever you want to do. Arsenal under this manager will not win the Premier League this season. You've heard it here first. Iftikhar says, Gav, is Kane gonna win the Ballon d'Or? For me, Harry Kane's not gonna win the Ballon d'Or. He's not. I think the Ballon d'Or is based on many things, yeah? As I said, when Dembele won the Ballon d'Or, I told you guys at the start, it was between Yamal and Dembele. And obviously those two were the top two, which I did say at the very start. And again, a lot of it is based on popularity. A lot of it is based on the Champions League. A lot of it is based on numbers. Harry Kane has the numbers. There's no doubt in that. But the only way for Harry Kane to win the Ballon d'Or is if he gets mad numbers and Bayern win the Champions League. I don't see Bayern winning Champions League, because I think when they come up against the likes of the PSGs and teams like that, Barcelona's, I don't think they beat them personally, And again, what comes into it as well is the World Cup, Whoever wins the World Cup, is going to go a long way to winning the Ballon d'Or, because if you think of, let's say for argument's sake, yeah, Barcelona win the world, Spain win the World Cup, yeah, and Yamal plays a massive part in that. If Spain win the World Cup and then Yamal wins Champions League with Barcelona, he wins Ballon d'Or. Because if you're winning the World Cup and Champions League, that's two of the biggest tournaments in the world, yeah, and you have decent numbers, which you're invariably going to have as well, you've won the Ballon d'Or, basically. The reason Dembele won the Ballon d'Or is because, again, the World Cup wasn't around, but if you look at the fact that he had good numbers and he won Champions League and won a league title, I know Nations League, they didn't win that, but if you're just looking at those things there, that will tell you why he's won it. But to answer your question about Harry Kane, for me, England don't win the World Cup and Bayern don't win the Champions League. So the only thing he can fall back onto is winning the Bundesliga, which, again, Bayern are expected to win the Bundesliga because of the the players and the money that they have at their club. Again, all you got to look at as well, look at the top highest earners in the Bundesliga. I think if you look at the top 10 highest earners in the Bundesliga, I think Bayern Munich have about 8 of them. Funny enough, maybe more. So that just tells you that them winning the Bundesliga is a given. You know what I mean? Which is why it was mad that Bayer Leverkusen actually done it. You know, but yeah, to answer your question, man, Kane's not going to win Ballon d'Or because they need to win a Champions League and, in my opinion, win a World Cup. And Kane needs to win a World Cup. If Kane won the World Cup, yeah, and had mad numbers, and then let's say Bayern Munich got to the semi-finals, Kane if Kane won the Bundesliga, he won the World Cup with England, and then got to a Champions League semi-final or final, I think you have a good case to say Kane could win it. But I don't see that happening, you know. Fami says, I thought Palace would win. Yeah, big up Fami, man. Listen, Palace are a very good team, man, under this manager. And again, them getting to them in third place right now and beating Liverpool, you know. I think if you're an honest fan of football, you know, you could see Liverpool struggling because Liverpool haven't been great. And as I said, Palace at home are not easy. So, yeah. Gav, opinion on Chelsea's centre-back crisis? I mean, what? Fofana's came back from injury. Chalobah sent off. Tosin, Cole out injured. I think collectively, if you're looking at those defenders there, it isn't great, really. You know, I don't really rate Cole that highly, if I'm honest. You know, left-footed centre-backs are rare, and I do like them, but I don't rate them that highly. I like Fofana, but he's injury-prone. And I think Chalobah and Tosin are just two good defenders, but not defenders that you would require at a team like Chelsea that will be looking to win Champions League or be in the latter stage of Champions League and obviously competing for the title in the Premier League. So, yeah, their centre-back pairings are not great, but again, it's one of them things where, we're gonna have to see how they get on. But for sure, man, they're not in a good vein of form at the moment. Their last 3 league games, they've got 1 point, so it's not great. Should Eze and Odie start in the mid with Rice behind them? So I think if you're Mikel Arteta will never do that. Start both of them two and Rice. And I think what people need to realize as well, and big up to Fami, Arsenal need a 6. Arsenal have a 6 in Zubimendi. Declan Rice is not a 6 because in the 6, you need to be good on the ball. You need to be able to dictate play. That isn't Declan Rice's game. Declan Rice is a box-to-box midfielder in terms of his high pressing and his energy. So in terms of what you need in the midfield, you can't have Rice playing just behind Eze and Odegaard because, again, Rice wouldn't be disciplined to stay in that position and he can't dictate the tempo of a game. So immediately, that wouldn't work. Arteta wouldn't play that as well because he might look at that as too attacking, which is why Zubimendi's in there. Zubimendi can play the 6, but then that means to get Rice in the team is Rice, obviously, because of his energy. You're either picking between Odegaard or Eze. For me personally, I'd pick Eze, but Odegaard's the captain and he's one of their highest earners. So Arteta's got to figure out how to get Odegaard in the team, which means that Eze might find himself playing out on the left again. So again, it's all about, you know, form, injuries, etc. But to answer your question, yeah, I wouldn't play Rice behind those two purely because Rice is not a 6. So, yeah. Jason says every year is Arsenal's year. Well, we've been hearing this for time, man, and we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. Gav, is Nicholas Jackson going to win the Gerd Muller Trophy and the Golden Boot this season? No, he's not. He's not. That's an easy question. He's not. Nicholas Jackson won't win Golden Boot ahead of Harry Kane in that league. He won't. Harry Kane's going to play more. He's a better finisher. He's a better striker. And it just is what it is, yeah. Gav, so far it looks like you've got good money on Garnacho. Well, listen, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Like, again, if you guys have been watching the channel, man, you know that I like this player, the way that this Man United fan base, and again, the majority of this Man United fan base have to answer for their crimes, because this is the same fan base that want to keep this manager, Ruben Amorim, in charge. This is the same fan base that said, you know, Garnacho has the potential to go to Real Madrid. Like, these are the same fan base that said that Bruno Fernandes is the next coming of Eric Cantona. You know, Rasmus Højlund chance after chance. Mason Mount with the 7 endorsing that. Guys, this is the same fan base that have been doing this prop for Garnacho. And all of a sudden now, the fan base have actually realised that Garnacho is a dickhead. They've actually realised this, yeah? So people like myself, people like, you know, some of the other channels that I watch have kept it real from day dot about Garnacho, yeah? And when I'm seeing him going to Chelsea and, you know, Chelsea actually helping United out, it's music to my ears, because this guy is the poorest player that I've seen in a while. He is. He was only given a chance at Man United because the fan base, they just wanted someone like a new toy to replace Rashford. As much as I didn't rate Rashford highly, there's no way Garnacho is better than Rashford. He's not. So the fact that Garnacho now is at Chelsea and you're looking at him and Gittins as their wide options, is there any surprise why, you know, Chelsea are not doing too much at the moment? Like, it's criminal to have those two as your wide options, you know. So, yeah, listen, big up, man, that Chelsea have given us money for that player, because that player's poor. He's poor. United bottom 10. Yeah, I think we're 14th at the moment, Yeah, listen, Palace are a great team. Big up Broderick, man. They're a great team at the moment, man. Well, when I'm saying great team, man, I'm saying in terms of them being unbeaten, the way they're set up, you know, they're not a great team, but the way he's got them set up, they're a problem for any team in this league right now. They are. Gav, is Man United getting Europe this season? Again, we're going to touch on that at 3 o'clock. So, guys, keep your questions coming in. We're going to wrap up in about 10 minutes. But as I said, I'm going to be back at 3 o'clock. And we're going to get into more Man United talk then. So make sure you're coming through there. João Pedro is good, but I'm glad people are realising he's not elite and won't score more than 15 league goals. I think, to be honest with you, I think João Pedro does get 15 league goals. I do. But again, this elite talk, like, it's just been thrown around. Guys, unfortunately, yeah, there isn't too many elite players in world football right now. There isn't, unfortunately. There's not too many elite players. And when I'm saying elite, I'm saying the best of the best. I think Barcelona have definitely 2 for me in Yamal and Pedri. Again, Lewandowski's elite, but again, Lewandowski is getting on a bit. Rafinha, you would say, has been at times. But when we're talking about elite players, I'd throw Frankie de Jong in there as well, actually. So I'm looking at 3 players in Yamal, Pedri, and de Jong. They are the best of the best in the world. So they're elite. Then you look at Bayern Munich, Harry Kane for me, Michael Olise. Them 2 are elite players for me. Real Madrid. I think Camavinga's elite, but again, he hasn't been playing, and I'm not sure if he's injured. And then you look at Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe. You know, some people might think they're elite, some people might think they're not. I think there's players that can be, the likes of Arda Güler. Rodrigo's elite for me, but again, is not playing regularly. But again, this elite talk, man, is not too many players that are. PSG have elite players for me in Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Vitinha, Nuno Mendes, Hakimi. You know, I mentioned Vitinha as well. Yeah, they're elite players for me, you know. But again, this elite talk, there ain't too many players that are elite. Even in the Premier League, there ain't really elite players in the Premier League for me. There's not. There's not. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, man. This elite talk is getting thrown around, but it's not easy. So Rice and Bellingham are basically box-to-box midfielders. Bruno is a 10, so we could see the work pretty good. Big up to Iftikhar, yeah. And Iftikhar, I'm gonna tell you this now, yeah. Obviously, you've been coming in with some good comments, yeah. The amount of people that keep thinking Bruno Fernandes is a 10, Bruno Fernandes is not a number 10. He never has been a number 10. People think he's a 10 because of where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and where Ten Hag played them. Bruno's not a 10. I keep telling people this, he's not a 10. You know, I was on Flawless's channel the other day, yeah? And obviously one of the other people on the channel, forgot his name now, but big up, said that Bruno was actually a right back when he was in Italy. And I can believe that by the way he plays, yeah? But Bruno has a number 8 tattoo on his arm, yeah? And that tells you everything. He wears number 8, has a number 8 tattoo on his arm. He's a number 8 in a 4-3-3. The amount of people that think that that think Bruno is a 10 is actually laughable. It is. He never has been a number 10. You've got it right. Him and Drew Burnham are box-to-box midfielders. They're number 8s, box-to-box midfielders, not 10s. Neither one of them is a 10. That's the truth. Gav, what's your meal deal choices at a supermarket? My meal deal choices. I don't really get meal deals, to be honest with you. I don't get meal deals. Yeah, I don't get meal deals. What, sandwiches and stuff like that? I don't really get them. Yeah, I don't really get them, so I can't really answer. But big up. Yeah. If Greenwood didn't do that to his wife, he would be the best player in the world. Listen, if we're putting that to the side, again, because none of us know the ins and outs of it, yeah? It's all just speculation or what people want to believe. Mason Greenwood, for me, I know people might say he should have gone, you know, because it would have tarnished United as a club. But Greenwood, for me, the fact that if I was in charge of United and I'm looking at it purely looking at football-wise, I'm not getting rid of Mason Greenwood. I'm not. I'm keeping Greenwood at the club. You know, the guy's got clear ability, you know. He's one of the best players to come through United's academy in recent times. I would have kept him. And again, this is a player that is going to end up at I was going to say Barcelona, you know. Imagine Greenwood at Barcelona with Yamal, you know. I think the reason why I say Greenwood won't end up at Barcelona is because the way where Greenwood plays now, he's more of a wide player now, more than a striker, yeah. So you'd have to believe that him and Yamal can't fit in the same team, even though I think it'd be like I'd be interested to see how those two play together, you know. But for me, Mason Greenwood ends up, his next club is going to be Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona. I think he ends up at one of them clubs. I would love, you know, in actual fact, yeah, I'm going to change my mind, yeah. I know Greenwood is more of a 10, more of a winger now, yeah. But when we're looking at strikers right now, and they're few and far between, yeah. And let's not forget as well, Greenwood was actually a striker, you know, and I will still have to see him play there, but it looks like now he's playing more out wide. If Barcelona are looking for a central striker to replace Lewandowski, I just wonder, you know, him having played in the having played in Spain already as well at Getafe, I just wonder if Barcelona are looking at him as a successor to Lewandowski. And again, the way that Barca play, you know, they could play Greenwood as a 9 and have him interchanging with other players as well. So, yeah, great question, man. But he for me, the ability that Greenwood has, and again, he's someone that I often overlook as well. Because when I mention the best players in the world and I mention younger players, I overlook Greenwood purely because he's not at my club no more. But this is a guy, regardless of the personal issues that he had, this is a guy with genuine ability. And I think definitely he can rival Lamine Yamal. The only way I see him rivaling Yamal is if he goes to because I think if he was to go to a Real Madrid, you're looking at him rivaling Lamine Yamal. And him playing out wide if Rodrigo does move on. But again, you've got Mastantuano there as well, which I don't really see them going for Greenwood. But you'd have to say that he can rival Yamal as the best player in the world in the future. Because I think Greenwood is that good. So, Who knows, man? He could end up at one of them clubs, and I think I mean, I'd love him back at United, but it's not likely to happen. But he can definitely be up there for me. Definitely, no doubt. So yeah, Greenwood is still with that lady. So he obviously didn't do anything as bad as what it seemed. Yeah, big up Lumi. And again, this is the problem. Yeah, people are always going to have their opinion. Unfortunately, my opinion on Mason Greenwood and what happened is, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of the whole story. But again, the fact that he's still with the girl and they've got 2 children, apparently, I heard now, it kind of makes everyone look stupid, really. You know what I mean? So yeah, but let's just focus more on the football. As a footballer, the guy's top level. That's what I care about. So yeah, let's see what happens. Gav, Mikel will deliver the title and cups. Sibangani, let's see, man. Let's see. Because as an Arsenal fan, I can see you're optimistic, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Yeah, big up to Lumi. Listen, as I said earlier, we're gonna get trolls in there. The more you grow, the more trolls you get. Unfortunately, this is what it is. But as I said, you guys, I'm trying to build this community. You guys come in there with your positive, with your positivity, your comments, and your questions for me, and you guys make the channel what it is. So as long as you guys are in there and you're enjoying the content, that's what matters. Anyone else that wants to come in there and talk shit, let them. Obviously, if it's racial, we'll block them. But if you're literally just a football fan like myself, and again, it's not just football; it's real life stuff. It's wrestling. It's UFC. It's boxing. Like, if you guys enjoy your sport and you enjoy just general chat, then yeah, listen, you're more than welcome to interact, man. It is what it is. Is Anthony going to win the Ballon d'Or before Mbappe and Yamal? No, he's not. No, he's not. That's just banter, yeah? Did Gav just say Mikel Arteta? Mikel Arteta. I think after this season, man, if he doesn't win nothing, it's going to be Mikel Arteta. So that's what I will tell you, man. It will be. Gav, you must trust the project. Oh, here we go. Trust the project, yeah? Arteta building a force, not our club. Yeah, listen, I've heard this for 6 years. He's building something. Listen, listen. If you're an Arsenal fan, all you should care about is if they win something this season. End of story. That's all you guys should be focusing on. So, Il Bobotia says, based on what so far? Not sure what that means. Big up to Ennis there. Big up my guy for coming through. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Yeah, listen, people want to hate. It's up to them, man. It says more about them than me, man. That's what it does. PSG versus Barca is a must. Yeah, listen, guys, PSG Barca. When is that? Because I might do a live watch along to that. When is it? Is that tomorrow? Or is it Wednesday? Because if it's tomorrow or Wednesday, I might do a watch along for that one. I think games like that deserve a watch along. So, in actual fact, I will do. Guys, let me know when PSG are playing Barca, and I'll do a watch along for that game. So, Aesthetic says, do you think Kane deserved at least in top 5? I think I answered this the other day. Again, if you guys check out my Ballon d'Or stream I done the other day, I think it kind of answers that. But do I think Kane deserved top 5? I think if you're looking at the top 5 already, yeah, it was Dembele and Yamal, no-brainers. Them two are definitely going to be in there. Vitinha, no-brainer. He was going to be in there. 4th and 5th was Mbappe. I'm not Mbappe. Was Salah and Rafinha. Now, as I said, guys, yeah, if we're looking at GA, Salah and Rafinha, because if you think of it this way, Salah, Rafinha, and Kane, they all won the same amount. Well, I think Barca won a cup actually, as well as the league. But Salah, Rafinha, and Kane all won titles in their countries, yeah, in the countries they're playing in. Now, Salah and Rafinha both had more GA than Kane, and unfortunately, this is what the Ballon d'Or is based on. I think Salah got 57 GA, I believe. I think Rafinha got 56 and Kane got 55, I believe. So The fact that those two are ahead of him is only based on the GA because they all won the same amount. Yeah. So this is what it is. Do I believe Kane should have got in the higher ranking than Cole Palmer and Mbappe? There's an argument for him that he should have been because, again, Kane won a title and had better GA than both Palmer and Mbappe. Mbappe got in there because of his popularity, and Cole Palmer got in there because Chelsea won the Club World Cup. But for me, Kane should have probably been in there ahead of those two. But to say he should have been top 5 is very hard to argue he gets in there purely because Vitinha won Nations League, Champions League, league title as well, and is one of the best midfielders in the world. Dembele and Yamal, we already know about them too, and the other two we just mentioned. So it's difficult to see that, really. But yes, listen, I rate Harry Kane highly, man. As a footballer, he's a top-class footballer, you know, top-class footballer. Yeah, big up to Sham, man. Big up, Sham. We was getting worried. Big up, man. Have all the Arsenal fans shut up today? Bet they have. Well, listen, we know what Arsenal fans do. You know, there's a few of them that haven't showed up. You know, Royan Campbell's not in there today. Wacker's not in there either. But we know what they do, man. We know what they do. When Arsenal win a game, you know, they're all over your chat. You know, but when they lose or draw, you know, these guys are quiet, man. But we're used to this now anyway. You know, we're used to it. Kevin says, Glasner to United. Do you know what? I mean, there's been talk about Xavi, Iraola. But again, big up to Kevin, man. We're going to get into it at 3 o'clock. So make sure you come through at 3. I'm just going to go through some more of your comments before we wrap up. But guys, we are back at 3 o'clock. Do you actually think Vincent Kompany is the best coach for Bayern? And where do you think Bayern will finish in the Champions League? I think Bayern Munich get to a quarter-final, depending on who they meet. I like Kompany as a manager. Is he going to be the manager to take them on in the Champions League? I don't know. Champions League's hard to win, let's be honest. But Bundesliga, they're going to win it. But Champions League, I'm not too sure. But that's not Vincent Kompany. That's just because, you know, they've got to beat some very good teams to win it, you know. Yeah, big up Iftika, man. Big up. Gav is looking majestic. I always look majestic. Let's not lie now. I always look majestic, man. I always look majestic. I do try. Now, big up. Big up to Shejimon as well. Thoughts on Gyökeres' performance yesterday, Gav? Yeah, he was poor. But he has been poor. I told you, against the better teams in this league, I can't see him doing anything. You know what I mean? The only thing he probably done yesterday was try to win a penalty, which wasn't given, and it was the correct decision. But apart from that, yeah, he wasn't too good. Yeah, listen, Erling Haaland's an elite goal scorer. He is. Big up to not Brett May. Haaland's an elite goal scorer, but is he an elite player? I don't think he's an elite player. I think he's an elite goal scorer, and there's no denying that. When it comes to goal scoring, him, Harry Kane, Lewandowski, those three, they stand alone. They do. You know? They do. Greenwood to Borussia Dortmund. Nah, I don't see that. He's not getting Borussia Dortmund. Nah, he's not. As I said, Greenwood's next clubs, guys. Don't be surprised. If it's a Barca, Real Madrid, or PSG. One of them clubs, them top clubs he goes to. Broderick says, Gav, have you done a next gen 50 on Mark Bernal? I have, yeah. Big up, Broderick. Yeah, guys, if you go through my playlist, you'll see next gen 50. So for those of you that don't know, next gen 50 is the best 50 players in best 50 young players in world football under the age of 21. So what I do, I just discuss those players. There might be a few players that I've missed out on. Again, if there's any players that you think I should discuss, then let me know. But if you go to the playlist and check out the videos, yeah, Mark Bernal's in there. I've done Mark Bernal. Left-footed central midfielder. at Barcelona. So yeah, there's a few players in there. So yeah, give that a check. There's a few more that I've got to do, which I'm not sure when I'm gonna do some. I'm not sure what day, but yeah, keep an eye out for that one. Greenwood to Strange Ways FC. My God. Yeah, I knew someone would come out with a joke like that one. Town says, what team do you support? Man United? Hey, it's on Wednesday. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do a watch along for that game. PSG Barca. 100% I'll do a watch along. So if you guys wanna obviously come through and do the watch along, I'm gonna organize that stream for the watch along. So yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing that, guys. 100% I'm doing a watch along for that one. Town says Ballon d'Or is probably the most rigged competition in any sport in world. Dembele deserved it though, not flaunting that. Yeah, the thing is, I think a lot of it is based on PR. When put it this way, it lost its credibility for me when Scott McTominay was in the top 20. You know, when I see that, that's when I thought, yeah, this Ballon d'Or is not serious anymore. You know, it's not serious. Have you done Next Gen 50 with Ayub Buadi? I have. I think I have actually, yeah. Have I done Buadi? I think I might have done, yeah. Give Iftikhar, give my is that the guy from Ajax? I can't remember. Give my playlist a watch and you'll see. There's a few players that I've done. You know, I've done Dowman, Dewey. Yeah, there's a lot in there. I can't remember the players I've done, but I'm pretty sure I've done that player, Buadi. I'm not sure. But yeah, give it a check. But guys, listen up. We're gonna wrap it up anyway because I'm gonna be back at 3 o'clock. So yeah, make sure you guys come back at 3, and we're gonna get into some Man United talk. Ruben Amorim especially, and yeah, as I said, if you guys are free, come back at 3 and support the channel as always. And if you haven't smashed that like button, make sure you do. And again, if you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel as well. And as I said, yeah, big up, guys. Big up to the chats as well. Big up for all the questions and comments. Big up to all the newcomers as well, whether you've agreed with my opinion or not. And as I said, yeah, guys, big up yourselves. And I'm back at 3. See you there. Take it easy.